Hey, brother.
Hey, brother.
So did Disney ruin the film industry?
Oh. uh, yes. I don't know.
Okay.
I feel like, yeah, I don't know. I think if I gave an emotional response, it would be yes, they did.
All right.
I, but I don't. I think in reality, if you actually were investigating it, you'd realize that it's not necessarily
Not
Disney,
Disney's
and
fault.
yeah, and Disney's probably traveling down the path of what might be a sinking ship, and they're just getting everything they can out of the sinking ship before the ship sinks.
Okay.
If
Okay.
that makes sense. Like
Um.
the film industry as a whole, I think is changing,
Yeah.
where the theaters feel like a sinking ship to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, their prices have gone too high,
Yeah. Yeah.
where it's
Not worth the experience anymore.
yeah,
I don't want to spend this much to go to a theater that, there's a theater out here in Texas called the Alamo Draft House,
yeah,
and they have all these rules about noise and you can't bring your baby with you, and
yeah,
they like serve
yeah,
food. If you bring your phone out, then you're escorted out of the place.
yeah,
I go there,
yeah,
and I'm willing to pay the movie ticket price because it's like, okay, now I'm paying for an experience that's at least enjoyable.
yeah.
But I don't want to spend like 20-25 bucks to go to a theater where like people are talking and they bring their phone out, and it's like, like I can't even enjoy the movie and I spent a bunch of money on it and it's just not worth it.
Yeah, has the experience gotten so much worse at the theaters that people don't want to go? Or is it that
I
the
don't know.
ticket prices are so much higher
I
that
think
it's
that's more
not
what it is.
worth going to the
I think
theaters?
that's more what it is. I think that, when growing up having a movie theater ticket at like 5 to 7 bucks,
Yeah,
like, yeah, you'd get people talking, you'd get kids crying, but you didn't mind all that much because you spent 5 bucks on it.
yeah,
And you still got to see the movie.
yeah. For $5 or $10, I would watch pretty much anything in the theaters.
Right.
For
Yeah.
for even like yeah, for $10, I'd be willing to watch just about anything and feel like that was good. I had a good time.
Yeah.
I got my money's worth. But for $20, like once you start getting into that like $15 to $20 plus range,
Yeah.
now I don't want to go to the theater if it's under 2 hours because I'm not going to get my money's worth.
Right. Yeah.
And I don't want to go. I don't want to watch a romantic comedy, even though I like romantic comedies.
Right. Yeah. It's
Uh,
like you want a spectacle. If it's going to be
yes,
big screen, you want
yes,
something like Dune
yes,
or, yeah.
or a Marvel film,
Right. Right.
or a Star Wars film.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can I say what I
Disney.
can I say where I think all this stuff goes wrong when you have these giant collaborative films that are building upon each other?
Okay.
Okay.
Like Marvel.
So, yeah, like Marvel. So,
Okay.
when you make a Captain America film or a Spider Man film, it's a very personal experience, and the stakes are relatively small. It's
Okay.
kind of like,
Or at least like intimate.
yeah, it's more intimate. I mean, if you're going to
Yeah.
like the first Spider Man, it's like, what really happens if Green Goblin takes over? Maybe Mary Jane dies, and that would be the worst thing in the world for Peter Parker and the audience.
Right. Right.
Then you keep going along, and then you get to Infinity War and Endgame, and now it's this universe-ending experience
Yeah.
where the
Yeah.
whole world is now at stake.
Right.
Then you go beyond that, and now you have the next movie, and it feels small if it's a oh my gosh, we got to save the neighborhood because we just experienced the universe, half the people of the universe disappearing.
Yeah.
So that
Yeah.
might feel too small. So they don't want to do that, even though that's the right way to go.
Right.
So instead what they do is there's another world-ending event. Only you haven't spent the 20 movies building up to this world-ending event that you needed to do in order for us to feel the stakes of the world-ending event. Because it's no longer, you can't have a world-ending event that's personalized.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's too
Like we
big.
didn't spend a decade learning about like why this world for these characters is important, and now it's like, well, we have a bunch of new characters and a new villain and a new
Yeah.
like event that just kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah, and it doesn't have that personal, small town, we're living in a neighborhood feeling that something like Spider-Man has.
Right.
Because it's just too dang big, and there's too many characters now. And you're jumping, the moment you start jumping Thor and the Hulk into movies together, which is fine when you have Thor in his like fourth and fifth movie. But the moment you start jumping characters into movies together, the stakes go so high. And I don't know. I think it's too much.
You think okay? So I think that like what you're saying is that it kind of paints the writers into a corner a little bit, because like you can't really write a personal story after that without it feeling small potatoes.
Yeah.
But then you can't write another large scale story without it feeling kind of out of left field, because we didn't get that like personal experience that we did in order to, get there in the first place. Like they're just kind of, now they just have to top themselves.
Yeah. And I think the Spider-Man film, I can't remember what they're called because they all have like the home thing in it, but there's the Spider-Man film with Mysterio in it with Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yeah.
And I think that one actually did a good job of having this new villain and building the villain story than having Spider-Man. My only complaint about the new Spider-Man movies is that because there's this whole backlog of Marvel films, Spider-Man now has this awesome suit, and I would much prefer Spider-Man to be in a homemade suit that doesn't have all the bells and whistles. And he's just using his ingenuity, which is what he used to do, his intelligence, and his sort of kind-natured self to overcome the obstacles, which is what, Tobey Maguire was doing in his Spider-Man movies.
Yeah. Okay. So, theater prices getting too big, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Marvel kind of like creating this new status quo where like now everybody is trying to create sort of like this large scale story or this, this like web out into other movies where like there's kind of universes.
Yeah.
And that kind of paints people into a corner. That makes sense. But like my initial question is like, did Disney ruin film?
Yeah.
Is there more to it than that? Like what else is there that like is specific? Because that's not even specifically Disney. Like Marvel started out by itself and then Disney bought it.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many directions we can go into, but I think streaming is really the one you have to go into. When I was younger, you watched, you either saw the movie in the theaters or you would have to wait like 6 months to a year before you saw it. And now all your friends are going to be talking about this movie and quoting it for like 6 months, and you're going to be the idiot who hasn't seen it.
Yeah.
So you wanted to go and watch movies in the theaters, but when they're dual releasing stuff on streaming and in theaters, or they're releasing it a month or two afterwards, it doesn't have that feeling. Why would I watch it in the theaters when it's not this exclusive, like you just want that feeling of, I got to jump on this, otherwise I'm going to miss my chance. And it doesn't feel that way anymore.
It was like a water cooler event. Like it did used to be, like it was in theaters for a limited time.
Yeah.
And you knew that going in. And if you missed that limited time, then you'd go like 6 months or a year before you'd get to see it. Mm-hmm. And that was a big deal, like missing it. You didn't hear a lot of people say like, oh, I'm just going to wait for it to come out on DVD or something. Like you didn't hear people say that really. It's like, I haven't gotten to see it yet. Like, you know,
Yeah.
like it was an event where it's like, no, like we're actually like, it's a water cooler event where we get to talk about the movie now. And like, because it took so long for it to come out after the theaters, people had this attitude of like, I can't wait for it to come out. Like, I can't wait to own it. And I'm not sure exactly when that happened, where they started releasing movies like really soon after it happened. But I do remember one Christmas buying you Serenity, the movie Serenity.
Yeah.
And I was like completely blown away that it was already out on DVD.
Yeah.
And so like when I found it, I was like, I'm buying it, because there's no way that he knows it's already out on DVD. Like I was expecting it to be another like 3 months or something before this came out.
Yeah.
So it was like, I guess it might have been around that time. It might have been around when that movie came out. Where like the DVD I felt like came out just like a couple months after it was in theaters. I was like, what? Like this shouldn't be out yet.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe DVDs did it because it just took longer to make VHS tapes, and making a million VHS tapes took 6 months, as opposed to, you can make a million DVDs probably in a day. But yeah, I don't know, the exclusivity of something and how Disney kind of flipped, because Disney used to put all of their movies in a vault where they would release Sleeping Beauty, and you really couldn't own Sleeping Beauty unless you bought it like once every like 5 years or 10 years. They'd like re-release it on VHS or DVD for people to buy.
Back in the vault and you couldn't buy it.
Yeah, and they would do that because it just made it feel special.
Yeah, it would come out and people would go out and buy it.
Now
even though it hasn't been out until like for decades.
Yeah, now, and it's weird because it's almost like a flaw in human nature to say, no, it was better before when we didn't have access to everything.
Yeah.
As opposed to now, where it seems like this should be better, that we have access to everything now on Disney Plus, that everything's there.
But so I get what you mean though. Like it's not a competitive market anymore. And I feel like that's kind of like, because they're releasing everything so quickly, because it's so accessible, and because it's relatively cheap on streaming, where it's just like you could get Disney Plus for, whatever, $12, and you can watch their entire catalog over, the course of a couple of weekends, or however long it takes. And then it's like, here's an indie filmmaker or a small-time filmmaker who's like, I have this incredible film that's going to take me 1.5 years to make, and maybe another year to like actually get properly distributed, and nobody is going to watch it at the end of those 2.5 years. And why would they? Like, they have all this stuff. And then on the flip side of it, you have Disney, who's like a billion-dollar company, and they're saying like, okay, like what's trending on social media? Let's slap together a script that's kind of sort of in line with that.
Yeah.
And throw it out there, and we'll make millions of dollars off of it, whether it's good or not. And so I think that maybe that kind of lack of exclusivity, as far as the audience is concerned, is hurting the quality of films, where it's like the only people who have the money to properly distribute worldwide or like nationwide, they're not bothering to make good movies anymore. They don't really have to, And it's like it's not even like, I feel like even the effort that goes into it, it's like, I mean, it's difficult to say that a movie doesn't take a lot of effort to make. That's not true. Movies take an incredible amount of effort. I've done some, I guess, impressive things in my life. It's fair to say that making a movie is the most difficult thing that I've done. Like, it's really very hard. But when your only job at this big film studio is to clip a piece of audio and then place it over here and then give it to somebody else, and then the other person is doing levels, and then they give it to somebody else, And and like so it's like what you have now is a bunch of people who are doing kind of the easiest thing, or like this one itty bitty little thing that they're good at,
Yeah.
and nothing else.
Yeah.
And there's very little effort being put into it. It's like, you know, I could move a bookshelf by myself.
Yeah.
But, you know, I'd rather have like 4 people, you know, like 2 on either side and then 2 on either side. And that would make it a heck of a lot easier. So it's like Disney with like thousands of people doing that itty bitty little tiny thing.
Yeah.
Are they really putting that much effort into their movies anymore? I don't think so.
I think, I mean, they're putting a lot of money into their movies. And
Yeah.
I think
not effort.
I think it's difficult to say that. Their situation is this, though, which is probably another issue, is that what we used to have was we'd have a guy making Clerks.
Yeah.
And Clerks
Yeah.
would come out and people would watch it, and it could gain steam and popularity on a bigger, wider scale than maybe it should have, and it influenced the direction film was going in.
Yes.
And what Disney's trying to do when you start getting to be this massive corporation is you got to make your money back. So now
Right.
you're not making an art project, you're trying to target an audience.
Yes.
And you're trying to target a large audience, and you're trying to target a large audience from different countries and different cultures. And
Yeah.
what you end up with sometimes is a movie made for absolutely no one. You know, as opposed to like Clerks, which was kind of a movie that really resonated with people, like on a high level.
Yeah.
And yeah, so we've always had those, let's like make these giant movies.
Right.
Like Disney's been around, you know, longer than I've been around. But we used to also have the other stuff too, and the other stuff went away from the at least from the social consciousness.
Yeah.
Where it's been a while since I've heard someone mention a movie that has absolutely no one in it, like no established people in it.
Yeah.
And it's just something that's kind of indie that somebody made that they were passionate about, that just resonates with people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. I think, you know, I mean, streaming is kind of a part of that, where it's like it's so accessible now that like there are a lot of indie filmmakers out there. So if there's an indie filmmaker who makes Clerks now, you'll never find it in the sea of crap that you would need to swim through. Before you finally find Clerks, and you're like, oh, here like is actually a very good indie film. What used to happen is there used to be festivals that would look for good indie films and then like elevate them, and that's what happened to Clerks. Clerks won at Sundance. It's what happened to Strays. Like Vin Diesel made a film called Strays, and he made it to Sundance. And then the next film that he was in was Fast and the Furious. Yeah. And it's like, like what? Like this? So he was like this no name. Yeah. He got $40,000 together. He made this movie with like poor cinematography and poor audio. The stuff that all the professionals tell you is the most important thing. Yeah. And he got to Sundance and he became Fast and the Furious. Yeah. Like, no, it's not the most important thing. You make a good movie is the most important thing.
It turns out, even with good audio, you still can't understand a thing the guy's saying.
Yeah, yeah. Christopher Nolan.
It's funny because he's got a deep voice, but then he deepens it once again. Yeah. He faux deepens his voice. And you can't understand what he's saying because he's talking like this the whole time. And it's like, stop doing that, Vin Diesel. Your voice is already deep enough.
There's no audio equipment
that can handle,
that can capture that.
It's like an elephant, where elephants have like, they're so low that we can't hear it with our ears.
Right.
That's Vin Diesel. Vin Diesel talks because you can see his mouth moving, but you can't hear anything that he's saying. It's so low.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, like Clerks is a great example though of just like doesn't have the best cinematography. It's in black and white. Doesn't have the best audio. Yeah. But you know what? I'd rather watch that than Suicide Squad. Like it's you know like that attitude of like you know an audience isn't gonna watch it if it doesn't have like pristine picture, and it's like dude, you were you know like you're talking about an audience that doesn't want to watch your movie in the first place. Like you're talking about selling to an audience that doesn't care to watch your movie in the first place.
Yeah.
Like I'm talking about making a movie that's good enough that people actually want to watch it, regardless of like, you know, how much money I spent on it.
Yeah. That's yeah, should we get into attention span?
Yeah, I mean if we're talking about what's ruining the film industry.
Yeah. I think
then...
yeah, cuz I feel like we have this real-time example with YouTube doing the shorts, and why I think it's a bad idea for YouTube to put shorts in there. I know they're trying to compete with TikTok, but you're training your audience to watch shorter content when your whole platform is based on people just making their thing.
Yeah. Yeah, like that's where YouTube makes the majority of their ad money. Is from the long form stuff.
Yeah.
And they're training their audience to stop watching their long form stuff.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I think it's a problem. And there's situations where you'll watch something for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Because people will do this on YouTube. Then you can watch a short, like a 30-second short, and learn the exact same thing you wanted to learn.
Yeah, it's like the Cliff's Notes.
Yeah. And you're and you wouldn't notice that as well if the shorts weren't there pointing it out to you. That most of the time people are they're stretching content as opposed to just letting it flow naturally. And you can actually cut that down into like 30 seconds.
Right.
So I think this is an issue. There's also a thing too where sometimes a short will be titled like "Watch till the end." So people's attention spans have gotten so low that you have to tell them in the video, watch to the end, and at the end, like nothing happens. They're just saying it.
Yeah.
So that you watch till the end, because people can't watch something
like
that's 10
seconds.
Yeah, it's even like 10 seconds long.
Yeah.
For 10 seconds. People can't do that anymore. So but I think it's when you go on YouTube, the attitude used to be, I'm on YouTube, I'm going to watch this video interests me, I'm going to watch the video. And you sit there and you watch the video.
Yeah.
And what the shorts have done is kind of hijacked that and been like, no, now you just watch stuff fast. Yeah. And then now like you'll click on a video, then you'll see like other videos that you're interested in, and you'll click on those, and you'll pause the video you're watching and click on the new video to see what they're saying. Yeah. And then you'll like off that one and go to the next one, because it trains you to be flicky with stuff.
Yeah.
As opposed to, and I
it's like Tinder.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. It's a dating app. Yeah. YouTube's turned into a dating app all of a sudden.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
it all kind of boils down to like I mean, I guess accessibility, where it's just like the more choices you have, unless there's something that's very stand out, it's just kind of more of the same. And it's like, oh, that was kind of funny. Oh, that was kind of funny. Oh, that was kind of funny. And I'm like, oh, that's an adorable little cat. Let me see another adorable little cat. And it's like, there's nothing that's really like something needs to stand out, I guess, in order for people to actually sit and watch.
Yeah.
I don't really watch anything on YouTube unless it's like a 40-minute video or long, like it's like I'll watch podcasts, I'll watch like video essays that are like real long, kind of like, I'll watch documentaries. I'll even watch like reaction videos. if it's like for a movie and it's like here's like 30 to 40 minutes long and it's like I want to like watch something or I want to listen to something.
Yeah.
I don't like watching stuff that's just like, some like punchline where it's like this guy like, he kind of tripped down the stairs but then he like caught himself at the end. It looked really funny.
Yeah.
And now I need to find the next one. And it's like, what am I watching? Like, this is such a waste of my time.
Yeah.
Like, come on, like, it just bothers me. Sometimes,
it's a difference in personality, though, right? Because it's like one of them is sort of you want to put something on so that you don't have to worry about having something on. Like, you want to watch a movie, especially when I was younger. When I was younger, I would put the movie on, and I would, like, no sound, no talking, no nothing else. I was watching a movie. It wasn't like a pause to do a bathroom break. It was like, no, this is what I'm doing. I'm sitting here, I'm watching the movie, I'm going to go through it.
Yeah.
As opposed to now, it's the hunt for entertainment that you never quite get. Because you're just scrolling through something and you're like, oh, that was good. And then you're scrolling and it's gone. And now you're on the hunt. And it's that feeling of, oh, I'm looking for the treasure that I can't ever get.
It kind of goes back to that, like, Marvel, what made Infinity War so crazy and personal was that there was this journey you went on.
Yeah.
That took like a decade. And you can't really go on a journey in like 30 seconds. So it's like, it's this immediate gratification and then it's gone.
Yeah.
It's like those little poppers for like, on 4th of July, you like throw them on the ground and then,
yeah.
And it's like, that was satisfying and now it's gone.
Yeah.
But it's like, you watch something that like is immersive and it's, an hour and a half, 2 hours, and you went through a journey and it's satisfying and it sticks with you. You have to get through the first 5 minutes first, in order to get to start getting on the journey. Yeah. And that's something that a lot of people don't bother to do anymore. Or it's just like the first 30 second on YouTube, on any podcast video.
Yeah.
They see Harry Potter in the title and they're like, Harry Potter, and they click on it.
Yeah. And
then the first 5 seconds is like, welcome to my video, and they're like, oh, click, and they click off of it.
Yeah.
And it's like, that might have been a really great video.
Yeah.
That might have been something that stuck with you. They might have talked about something that you'd never thought about before. Maybe you look at Harry Potter differently now, and you couldn't get through 5 seconds of it. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it is kind of a problem, streaming. Yeah. And it is kind of ruined. I guess it's ruining movies. I'm not convinced though. Maybe you had more to say. I'm cutting you off. Okay. I'm not convinced though that any of that is Disney's fault per se. Marvel started out before they were bought by Disney.
Yeah.
And then streaming obviously started out before Disney Plus. So Disney's kind of bandwagoning and grabbing all this stuff. So is it actually Disney's fault? Is it more, or is it that it's more Disney is now this kind of media monster that has all of it, or having bought Star Wars and Marvel, it's I feel that's kind of the route where it's maybe that's Disney's fault because they have acquired all of the biggest properties. They have kind of lessened the whole competitive aspect of the filmmaking business.
Yeah.
And it's when you're competitive with another company, you make your stuff better because you're competing with them. And Marvel is coming out with some of the best stuff in years. Mm-hmm. And it's because they were competing with Disney.
Yeah.
It's Marvel had declared bankruptcy in the 90s, Mm-hmm. They made their money back by selling their property. They sold Spider-Man, they sold Fantastic Four, they sold X-Men to different studios. They made their money back, and then they were we don't have our best sellers anymore. We have the B team. Yeah. We have Thor and Captain America and Iron Man, the people that nobody cares about. And they're well, we can make the Avengers. And they came up with this at the time, really innovative way of creating this universe. And they
Yeah.
were competing with Disney, a multi-billion-dollar company, and they were a company that was climbing out of bankruptcy.
Yeah.
Like, that's where the ingenuity came from. That's where the good films came from, is like the need to compete with somebody 10, 20, 100 times bigger than you are.
Yeah.
They don't do that anymore. They don't have to.
Yeah. They're not. Yeah. They're competing against themselves.
Yeah. And Star Wars
Yeah.
is bought by Disney, and then they make like 5 of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life. Because they're not competing against the biggest company anymore. Like,
Yeah.
they don't have to. That's what I think is like maybe where Disney is actually like ruining film. It's like anybody who can actually compete with them, they just buy them out. And then the companies that are being bought out are allowing Disney to buy them out. And so
Yeah.
it's like, all right, now who's competing with Disney? Maybe A24? Maybe?
Yeah. It is interesting seeing kind of smaller studios popping up and doing
Smaller
their own
studios. Yeah. What
Yeah.
they've done is they've figured out how to swim through the sea of crap that's all the indie films that are out there and brand themselves as, yes, I'm indie, but
Yeah.
when you see my production company, you know it's going to be a good movie.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of what I'm trying to do.
Who did Bone Tomahawk? Was that
That was Bonfire Legend.
Bonfire Legends? Oh yeah, that was a good one. I really liked that one.
It was a good one, yeah. And I think that if they kept making movies along those lines, like they might have blown up a lot faster.
Yeah.
They made like Cell Block, Brawl on Cell Block 99,
Yeah.
and like that was good too. Like that was, that was kind of along the same lines. And then Dragged Across Concrete they made, which was not bad.
Okay.
But yeah, like they haven't come up with something as good as Bone Tomahawk since.
Yeah. Yeah. I think Bone Tomahawk's the only one that I've seen of theirs, and it was gnarly. Like,
Yeah.
I was like, this
Yeah.
is a really intense movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
That I don't know how deep you want to go into talking about this, but it did make me think of, I wonder how accurate that is to the time frame where you might just get taken by some group of people and they just split you in half for fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know.
I think that it was probably more common than people expect.
Yeah.
I feel like it's so easy to kind of look at history through a modern lens.
Yeah.
But like it's difficult to remember that we are still them, like
Yeah.
the way how violent we used to be in any culture. When
Yeah.
you go back far enough, it's like this is how violent we were. Mercy wasn't really a thing. Like mercy was kind of like how they'd make fun of each other, like, oh, you're showing mercy, like what a loser, like what a weakling.
Yeah.
It's like this is what like this is what we do, and then they like chop their head off. Like that's the kind of stuff that like we used to do.
Yeah.
And we're still those people.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like, I don't know, like it's very easy to kind of look through history through a modern lens and just not understand it, or to have kind of a judgmental view on it. And it's like, no, you're just as bad.
Yeah.
You're just as bad. You just got it easier.
Yeah, it is. When you grow up in a world where there aren't roaming packs of hungry people stealing people so they can eat them.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't. It's hard to have that perspective, I think.
It's like, why would anybody eat anybody?
Yeah, well, you get hungry enough.
Like eating like a kale and like quinoa salad. It's like, get out of here, man. Like, like these are people that like if they could find a rabbit, they're eating it raw because they're starving.
Yeah.
And like you're eating a donut. Like, shut up.
Well,
Why would anybody eat anybody?
Here's the
Sprinkles
thing.
on their face.
I don't blame people for not understanding it, because to a certain degree,
I thought you were gonna say, I don't blame people for cannibalism.
yeah, I don't.
but
I
no,
don't
yeah.
know. I don't know if I blame people for that either, though.
If you're hungry enough.
If you actually look through history and understand why those things happened, it's difficult to say. You can say it's wrong. I don't think it's a correct thing to do, but
Right.
you can also understand it too.
Yeah.
And try and
Lesser of two evils. Kind
create
of
a
thing.
world where we don't have to do stuff like that anymore.
Yeah.
But
Which we've done here,
yeah, but I don't blame people when they don't
understand.
understand at all, really. I mean,
Yeah.
there's running water. Like, I've had running water my whole life where I never have to worry about water and
That's
getting a
actually
drink.
an interesting point. That's a good point. Because, like, there are plumbing issues that happen, and your water goes out for, like, a day, 2 days, maybe 3 days. For those 3 days, you are lost, aren't you?
Yeah.
Like, it's just, for those 3 days that your water's out, you're like, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
And you're thinking about maybe cannibalizing your neighbor.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh my gosh, I need to figure out some way to take a shower.
I'm gonna break into your house and take a shower. That's what I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
But we don't really know what to do
Right.
when those things happen. We don't have a solution for it, and if it ends up happening to everyone, you're gonna see how desperate people behave, and it's not always pleasant.
Yeah. Like that kind of, by comparison, that's a very small problem that we'd be dealing with versus any of the problems that they may have been dealing with in times past.
Yeah.
But yeah, that desperation. It's funny how quickly you get desperate.
Yeah.
When, something small happens. Mm-hmm. And it's like, use your imagination. Like, yeah, that's what it's like, man. That's what it's like to be human. That's what people are really like outside of comfort.
Do movies, if you do have if you have seen the 10,000 movies like we have, do movies give you a clearer picture of humanity and history than maybe somebody who doesn't know a whole lot about history and doesn't really watch movies from different eras?
Think so. Well, maybe. So it depends on how you look at it.
Yeah.
I don't think that the movie is representative of what the world was like back then. Mm-hmm. But I think that it is a good example of showing how intelligent the artists and writers were. Because again, through the modern lens, I think that people tend to have this attitude of looking back at a movie in the 30s and 40s and being like, oh, well, man, they didn't know that smoking was bad for you back then.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, they did. It's smoke and you're bringing it into your lungs, and they weren't stupid. They were doing it because they thought it looked cool. Yeah. And by the way, we're still doing it. They weren't idiots.
Yeah.
They're the exact same intelligence. Actually, there's a lot of evidence to suggest they were more intelligent than we are now. But yeah, that. I think that when you look at it through that modern lens, where it's oh, they just didn't know better back then, and oh, this is the way things were back then.
Yeah.
I think that what the movies actually are is, this is the way that the writer saw the world back then. Or this is an exaggeration of what the writer thought the world was like.
Yeah.
And depending on the decade and depending on the studio, it's this is some rich guy making a movie about what he thought poor people lived like back then.
Yeah.
So it's you're going to watch a movie and it's not going to be a real strong representation of what life was actually like. It's going to be a lot of what it's like today, which is no, this is a multi-millionaire writing what he thinks it must be like in rural Alabama,
Yeah.
And it's wrong, not even close. but like it'll at least show that, you know, it's like, no, writers in the 40s were like just as intelligent and creative, maybe even more so than we are now.
Yeah. I feel like a good movie to watch that feels like that is that Tom Hanks Michael Crown movie or something like that, where he's like the guy.
Thomas Crown. I haven't seen that one.
I don't think it's called Thomas Crown.
Isn't
but
it?
Tom Hanks. So Tom Hanks works at like a Home Depot or something like that. He's
Okay.
He's he's not like a manager, but he's like just below manager because he doesn't have like a college degree.
Yeah.
Then he gets laid off because the whole 2008 thing happened. I think that's what
I got laid off in 2008 too.
So yeah, you and everybody else.
Yes.
So he ends up like selling, you know, like his car and getting like a little moped, and he kind of like downsizes his life in a lot of different ways, and then he starts going to college, and to me it felt like this is what this is what a rich person thought was going on, which is that like, oh, you're working at like, you know, wherever, and you're not a manager, and you're driving this super expensive gas guzzling SUV, which is like, no, he's probably not doing that. Sorry, he can't afford to do that. He probably already has the junky car, and he's living in a house. And it's like, yeah, he's probably not doing that either. No, like, you know, then like he gets fired, and like he just has to downsize some of his stuff and like kind of like, you know, tighten his belt a little bit. And it's like, no, like his next house payment cleans him out.
Yes.
Like he's done. It's not like like this guy wasn't like saving money and now he can go to college and, you know, hey, take a year off and go to college and get your degree.
No,
Like he's
like I was laid off, and the way that I was tightening my belt was, well, I guess I don't need to eat 3 times a day.
Yeah.
And I was like, I guess I don't need to eat twice a day. So I was eating once a day.
Yeah.
To save money.
Yeah.
And I lost maybe like 20 pounds before I got another job.
Yeah.
Like when you're already kind of scraping, you know, the bottom of like your comforts, and then you lose your job.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, now I just have to be a little bit less comfortable. It's like, no, now I don't get to eat because like 3 meals a day was a luxury, and I don't get to afford that luxury anymore. So yeah, it is something that's like, you know, it's a life, the life that you live, way different from what they think it is. And I've had conversations too. Like I worked at a tax firm for 2 years, where we were helping people get out of their tax debt, and we would like help do their finances for them. Yeah. Like it's fair to say that I'm an expert in finance, because of like this job that I had to do, or budgeting, you know, whatever it is. But like I'll still have conversations with like people making 6-7 figures.
Yeah.
About like, struggling with money, and they still act like, oh, it's like a spending problem. And it's like, you and have that problem, like you're probably spending too much. And I'm like, no, I'm an expert in finance. Like I know more about budgeting than you do.
Yeah. I'm
not making enough money, you know? Like, and it's something that like maybe you don't understand because like you're making 6 figures. Yeah. And so it's not a problem that you've come across, but it's like, it's something that's, it's a reality that exists for us, is that like, I may actually be more qualified for this job than you are. I may actually understand finance better than you do. I'm just not making as much as you are. Which is, you know, the argument that I try and make when I try and get a promotion. Yeah. And then they fire me. Yeah, well, for being insubordinate.
Your generation especially, what year did you graduate from high school?
2008.
Yeah.
We got
right there, man. Anyone in that like anyone in that range?
Yeah.
Within like, you know, a couple of years.
Well,
it's like you hit one of the worst economies. Then it happened all over again when they shut down the country.
Right. And I think it was a number of things that all happened kind of in a row. So like you you had a job in high school.
Yeah.
I think all of my siblings did. I was looking for a job in high school. There is a law that was passed around that time where if you hire a minor, even part-time, you have to pay them health insurance.
Yeah.
So companies adjusted
Yeah.
by no longer hiring minors.
Yeah.
So in high school, I was looking for a job and nobody would hire me because there was this new law that was passed.
Yeah.
That was supposed to be trying to help me. Oh, now I get health insurance. No, now I don't get a job. So then, 2008, I turn 18, I get a job, and I'm doing really well. It's an office job. 2008 recession hits,
Yeah.
and I'm out. So they lay me off. 2008, I'm looking for jobs, competing with everybody. It's a recession.
Yeah.
They're looking for somebody with 2 years experience, but they didn't hire minors anymore.
Yeah.
So I wasn't able to get 2 years experience because I wasn't able to work in high school.
Yeah.
And also, they don't take paper applications anymore. You have to apply online. This was new back then. This was a new thing. So what used to happen was you'd go into a place, you'd fill out an application for the job, and you were competing with maybe 20 other people that lived in the area.
Yeah.
Now what's happening is you're competing with hundreds, if not thousands of people that are applying online.
Yeah.
Maybe people that are commuting in.
Yeah.
So I'm going around in 2008 trying to find a job, and my mom and dad are like, "What are you doing? Why are you not getting a job?" And I was like, "I don't know."
I
it
can't
was
figure,
new.
I can't figure it out.
Yeah, nobody had any idea why.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just, and I ended up getting a job where I had a real good, nice career until they laid me off, and then I went in and started a new career, and I was doing really well there until COVID hit.
Yeah.
And when COVID hit, I got laid off from that job.
Yeah.
There are a number of and you can map them out. If you map them out properly, there are a number of things that happened all kind of in a row that really screwed with people my age, with my generation in particular.
Yeah.
It's just and then there's still an attitude of some millennials are the best, most hardest workers that I've ever had in my life, and some of them are the laziest people I've ever seen. And it's I haven't really seen the lazy ones. Not millennials, not my generation. I've seen people a little younger than me kind of act man, I've been here for 2 months, I haven't been promoted yet. And I'm okay. But I haven't seen that with people my age or up.
Yeah.
And I think it's just because of when we graduated. It was we tried to get jobs and we got screwed.
older people,
yeah.
like me, I'm in my 40s. I can't tell how old people are.
Yeah, okay.
It's you're now I can kind of tell you're in your 40s or you're 14. I can't tell. You're just a kid. And it's something I think it's just something that happens. Because even people in their 90s end up doing that, where they're they're only in their 80s, they're just a kid.
Right. Yeah.
And it's what? We never get over it. But I think your generation got hit so hard from all the different things that kept happening that have. Because, if you're working for a place for only a year or two, and then you get laid off because of a recession, you now don't have that, 5 years of experience that you need or that a company wants.
Yeah.
And you're getting lumped in with the next generation who might actually be a lot lazier than you guys are. And it's well, this is the reason why you're some millennials are super hardworking, and some of them were, out looking for jobs for years and couldn't get one.
Yeah.
And some of them are just on the back tail of it, and they didn't have that experience.
Yeah. 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 It's all the rough stuff that you go through. It's all kind of just preparation for hardship. And then, when you're an indie filmmaker and you're I'm just going to make this movie and it's going to be out of pocket and I don't know if I'm going to make my money back and it's going to be a year and a half of my life.
Yeah.
It's something that I'm able to mentally prepare for relatively easy, and it might just be because I'm used to disappointment. Whatever, man. That's a part of life. Kind of an important part of life. I might not be as capable as I am if I just kept succeeding right off the bat. Got to fail sometimes.
Yeah, well, I think all people ever see is the success, and they don't
Yeah.
they don't look at the journey to get there, and
Yeah.
they don't. I think most people don't want to know about it.
Right. Well, yeah, it's not easy to build something.
It makes them feel bad about themselves, I think, or something.
Yeah, as it should.
But yeah, maybe it should make you feel bad about yourself, but that's okay.
Yeah. What are you gonna do about it?
I think most
Pick
people
yourself
don't.
up, do something about it.
Most people don't want to know, and they want.
Yeah.
I think most people just want to think you can do something because you were just born with some magical ability, and sometimes you're not, and it creeps them out when they find out you were not born with a magical ability.
Yeah.
And you were kind of like,
I made mistakes too.
Yeah.
Well, we're running pretty long, but we do have a game.
Oh my gosh.
We've got straight to the game.
We've got 5-word synopsis here.
Yes.
So I'm actually doing this episode will probably get released after Memorial Day sometime. But I actually did a sort of Memorial Day-ish list where I looked up like Memorial Day movies.
Okay.
So that's at least the theme that we're going with.
All right. Yeah.
Here. So before, when I was doing these, I would at least have one of them be kind of like a give me, where it's like, hey, this one, like, you're definitely going to get the movie off of this one.
Right.
I'm a nice guy. I'm kind-hearted. I want people to succeed. No longer is any of that true.
All right. Yeah.
This is a pretty legit 5-word synopsis. In the same way that, like, if I'm like saying Empire State Building, I would say Empire State Building. Like, I wouldn't just put one word Empire, because then you don't know what I'm talking about. So in the sense that Empire State Building is multiple words, but one thing, that also is true here. Most of these are like one word or like a single thing.
Okay.
So it's
all right.
This is going to be tough. I think it's going to blow your pants off.
All right.
I hope everyone prepares themselves for this.
If I weren't already not wearing pants.
The here we go. So just number one, let me know when you're ready and I'm going to get started.
All right. I'm ready.
Okay. Union Army.
Union Army. Glory?
Yes.
Yes.
Holy cow. Okay. So
it was the first Civil War movie that came to mind.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Okay, nice job.
Thank you.
All right. Here we go. Okay. Number 2.
All right.
Pilots.
Oh, Pearl Harbor.
World War II.
Wings.
Lucas.
Red Wings.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. I like the challenge.
I think that's 3 for you. I think that's how this works. Let me.
Yes.
Yeah. So let me go over Glory real quick. So for Glory, it's Union Army, 5th Regiment, Washington, Freeman. Then my last one was Matthew Broderick.
Okay. Yeah. That's good.
So
like if it had kept going, like I might have been confused by Washington.
Yes. Yeah.
I might have been confused by Freeman.
Yeah, I know. I thought that was good. Yeah.
Yeah.
So for Red Tails, it's Pilots, World War II, Lucas, because it's a George Lucas production. Tuskegee was my next one.
Okay, yeah.
Then my last one was Cuba Gooding Jr.
Cuba Gooding Jr. Yeah, all right.
Okay. Here we go. Number 3. Medic.
Hacksaw Ridge.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Jeez Louise.
Oh my gosh.
It's wow, really incredible job. Yeah, I got medic. Number 2, Okinawa. Number 3 is Garfield. Number 4 is conscientious objector,
Okay, yeah.
and number 5 is Vaughn,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
because Vince Vaughn is in that movie.
That's right.
Yeah, he's actually really low down on the list of like actors when you're looking up like the actors for it.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm like, why is he so
wasn't
far?
top billed.
Like, yeah, like what did he do this
Yeah.
for free or something?
I mean, yeah, he probably just wanted to work with Mel Gibson.
Yeah. All right. Number 4, Normandy.
Oh, what's it called?
Second Ranger Battalion.
Saving Private Ryan?
Yes.
Okay.
Is that what you were thinking about?
Yeah, I couldn't remember the name at first.
I think that's 4. Jeez, you're doing really good, but I think you were kind of like preparing yourself for the difficulties that were heading your way.
Hey, I know movies.
But yeah. But Normandy, Second Ranger Battalion, Damon,
Ah, okay.
Hanks,
Yeah.
Spielberg.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Here we go. Once I can read what I wrote here. What is that? I have absolutely no idea what this word is.
Oh man! At some point, we should show an example of your handwriting.
Yeah, it's so bad.
So people understand how it is that you might not be able to read your own handwriting. Mine's really bad too. I have really bad handwriting too, but
Okay, I'm gonna skip.
not as bad as yours.
I'm
You're
gonna
skip it. Okay.
I'm gonna skip the first one. We'll go straight to the second one. We'll see how you do.
All right. Let's see
right.
what happens.
Here we go. Number 5. France.
France. Okay.
Civilian boats.
Oh, Dunkirk.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that was pretty good. So I got through 2. I think that means you get
I get 4.
4. Yes. Okay.
Wait. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the first one is 5 points. The second one.
The
4
first one, it looks like I put hook, but that doesn't make any sense. Look. I'm like, it looks like an H-O-O-K. There's definitely an O-O-K in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I don't know what the first letter or 2 letters is. Oh, I know what it is. It's 400,000. I put that. What I put was 400K. That's why I was like, I was kind of like worried when I wrote that. Like that might be. I was like, that might be confusing for me. But I was like, no,
Yeah.
I'll remember. I totally didn't remember. Okay, so 400,000 France civilian boats. Hardy, Nolan. Those were the.
Yeah.
Those were the things there. Okay. Number 6.
Yeah.
Vietnam.
Platoon.
Rifle.
Apocalypse
Private
Now.
Pile. Private Pile.
Oh. Full Metal Jacket.
Yes. I got through 3.
Yeah.
2, 3. So you got 3 points that time.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's only 0 if you don't get any of them.
That's right.
All right. Number 7. Slap. General.
Dirty Dozen.
Scott. Schaffner.
I have no clue.
American.
I have no clue.
That's it. 30 seconds. Okay, so that was Patton.
Oh my gosh.
And that's why I said slap.
Yeah. Wow.
That's a 0.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Okay.
That's a good movie too.
All right. Number 8. Navy. Fighter pilot.
Pearl Harbor.
Goose.
Oh, Top Gun.
Yes. Yes. That's 3. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was hoping you weren't going to get Top Gun right away, just because you were thinking more like war films.
Yeah. Yeah.
But for some reason, these lists just throw whatever they feel like into the mix.
Yeah.
All right. Number 9.
All right.
Camp. Prisoners.
Oh, is it The Dirty Dozen?
Bronson.
The Great Escape?
Yes.
That's Memorial Day?
What I'm saying is, like, I'll look up, like, hey, show me, like, Memorial
Yeah.
Day movie, and it just gives you a list of, like, oh, here's the movies you should watch on Memorial Day. And I'm
Okay.
like, Love Actually?
Right. Yeah.
So I think you got 3 on that one. So my other one was, so I had Camp, Prisoners, Bronson, McQueen, and Garner.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a good movie.
I don't think I said the Top Gun ones, did I? Navy, Fighter Pilot, Goose, Maverick. Then my last one, number 5, was Meg Ryan.
Oh my gosh.
That's right.
I always forget Meg Ryan's in that movie.
I never forget. Okay. This is the last one, number 10.
Okay.
Patrol boat. Nung River. Insane.
Apocalypse Now.
Yes.
Okay.
Wow. Wow.
Jeez.
So I think you got 3 on that one. You did pretty good, I think, considering how difficult I made this. I made it difficult,
Yeah.
right?
I like the new challenge. Yeah. I like it.
5 is 10. That's 13, 17, 21, 24. You got 0 on that one. 27, 30, 33. I think you got 33.
Okay. Out
That's
of a possible
pretty good.
50.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
All right.
Okay. So I do have a little thing here. When you get a certain score, you earn a title.
Yeah. A
Okay.
ranking, if you will.
So yours at 33 puts you in the 25 to 34 range. So
Okay.
you are George S. Patton. You slapped most of the points, but a result of your strategic assault, you missed the big points.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, something like that. Do you want me to go?
Something like
Do you want me to go?
Start at the
Start
top.
at the top? Okay. Ugh, getting coffee in my face. Okay, so if you get max points 45 to 50,
Yeah.
then you are Maverick from Top Gun.
Oh.
Close to getting that big 5 goose egg at supersonic speeds. I'll be your wingman any day.
That's a nice little cherry on top there.
35 to 44, the next one down. You are a Tuskegee Airman, an elite pilot who skillfully navigated my arsenal of questions. Too bad you weren't as good as a made-for-TV movie, which I am, of course, talking about the Tuskegee Airmen with Lawrence Fishburne, which is the
better
movie.
than
Yeah, if
Red
you want
Wings.
to, if you want to actually watch a movie about that, you watch that one. You don't watch Red Tails.
Right.
Yeah, Red Tails was
Oh,
not.
Red Tails. I didn't even get the movie right. I called it Red Wings.
You call it Red Wings? Oh, okay.
It's Red Tails.
I'm all. I can't.
I know. Yeah, no points for me.
0. That's okay. 15 to 24. You are a member of Miller's 2nd Ranger Battalion. This is from
right.
Saving Private Ryan.
Saving Private Ryan, yeah.
Yeah. You lost more points than the single points you gained at the end. You earned this.
All right.
Then there's the bottom score, 0 to 14. You are, I think it's Colonel Walter E. Kurtz from Apocalypse Now.
Oh, yeah.
It took too long to find the answer, as though you floated down an endless river. And once found, your answers were that of a raving, nonsensical madman.
I like that. That's man, that's such a fun part of the game is getting your ranking. Damn, that's fun. Oh my gosh, I lost one of my earbuds. That's okay. I think that those were some good pages.
Yeah.
So until next time, see you later, brother.
Later, brother.